Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Start a Stone with me, as always, and here I am. So, say hello in the comments. Let me know you're about. Good morning, Rob. How you doing? So, today, our show, or my show, or is it our show with everybody? Yeah, it's our show. And all you nice, wonderful, fluffy, shiny people out there in internet world are part of it. So it's our show. Well, today we're talking about magic. What it is, what it isn't. And if anybody out there would like to share what they think it may be, we can talk about it. And I'm going to bring in some stones as usual because that's what I do. So, Rob, seeing as you said hello, what do you think? Magic. What does magic mean to you? Go on, Rob. Talk to me. Anyway, so generally, magic, as we are shown it these days through Hollywood and TV, is all about big, flashy things happening and, people disappearing and appearing. Yes, Rob, I am putting you on the spot because you're here. So, what was I saying? Oh, yes. So, we've all seen the movies, like the Harry Potter series and various other things with, well, all sorts of magical things happening with sorcerers and wizards and all the usual stuff. But what really is magic? Because magic is far more subtle than that. Let's see what Rob says. Magic can mean what is properly called illusion. People like Houdini or Copperfield. Yeah, that's illusion rather than magic. They call themselves magicians, and but they're illusionists. Illusion isn't magic. Illusion is making something appear to be magical, but really isn't. It's a trick. It's a sleight of hand. Good morning, Margaret. How are you today? Yeah, that's illusion. That's the other thing that I was just about to mention with how how magic is shown to us these days. It's either illusion or it's within Hollywood or TV. And that's more like where I'm coming from. Rob, thank you very much. Yes, magic is far more subtle than Hollywood would like to show it because it's not big and it's not flashy. It's quiet. It works in the background. And good morning, Neshi. Yes, magic is different to how we are generally told that it is. And let's start with what is it? Well, and I will always speak from my own perspective. Magic isn't the use of my will. to force something to happen, to make something happen that I want to achieve or to achieve happen. Magic, in my view, is a collaboration between you and the world around you, whether that be the spirit world, whether that be the spirits of nature, whether that be the universe, whether it be the god or the goddess. You're making a collaborative effort between you and to hopefully bring about a positive outcome to either a um, negative situation, difficulties, whether it be for healing and so on, all the usual stuff. It's all magic. And we've all been doing magic. Let's just talk about that. Will is a necessary element. Energies do not have a will. I'm not entirely sure from my own experience that that is necessarily the case. That's a whole nother show in itself. So yes, the wise will, let's go back to Rob here, the wise will seek to operate within the laws of nature, but will is needed to direct. Well, yeah, I understand your point, Rob, but acting on my will, I can act on my will for myself, but I can't act on it for anybody else. I can ask, just for the sake of argument, it is my will for you to do a particular act or action, to do something, and you do not wish to do this one particular thing, then you, and there's nothing I can do that will make you act upon my will. So therefore, my will can be ignored. So that's where I'm coming from. It's a cooperation. So if I ask you to do something and it is acceptable for you to do it, then we cooperate and it happens. So there you go. Really, that pretty much says it all. It's a cooperation. So, and there's lots within magic. I mean, even now, magic is, magical practices never stopped happening. And because throughout the millennia and the centuries, even after the Christian doctrine came in and many countries worked within that doctrine, the superstitions that many of us had before and superstitions that came in with the Christians, with, being terrified to death of witches and goblins and everything. They all had their superstitions, and when, just for example, spilling salt on the table and throwing it over your right shoulder, um, uttering a little verse after a black cat crosses your path or you see a magpie, all those things is technically witchcraft. So we have this innate, in my view, innate magical being within us that needs to express itself in one way, in some way, preferably a good way. So I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm not very good at that. Checking out all your comments and trying to keep my train of thought going as well. So if I get a bit woogedy somewhere along the line, please forgive me. Anyway, so magic has always been with us, and it will always be with us. That will never stop, even if people don't think it's magic. It really is. But magic for me is a catch-all term. So there are varying types of magical act, whether it be an act of healing, an act of knowledge, an act of protection, etc., and so on and so on. They're all magical experiences. So it's all there. We just have to learn to see it, the magic that is around us. And Rob's just was talking about will a moment or two ago. All is mind, and our will is not the only will. Exactly, and that was my point earlier about energies. Rob mentioned about energies needing a will to direct them, ours being that will. Well, as I said, that might not, my view is that that's not exactly how I see things. So, but anyway, yeah, there's lots in this. There's lots and lots in this. There's a dozen shows or more just on all the different aspects. So keep commenting. Let me know you're still here and that I haven't disappeared magically. Anyway, so I'm going to start with stones. I always do. I love stones. I'm going to bring one up. And here it is. The daddy of them all, in my opinion, for magic, Merlinite. So Merlinite, as well as his other attributes, Merlinite is said to contain the collected knowledge of all magical workers, or the knowledge of all workers of magic. Let's just bring up Nesh's comment here. So this is another perspective, or rather another way to think about magic, looking behind our own definition of magic. Yes, exactly. So magic is a very emotive term, and again, like I was saying earlier, thanks to Hollywood and TV, we see magic as this one thing, whether it be illusionists or whether it be movies about wizards and sorcerers and so on and so on. Magic is not any of that. So we have to adjust our thoughts on what it really is. Let me just take Mr. Merlinite off for a minute. Magic. You can think of everything that we do as spiritual beings on a spiritual path in a magical way. For example, the act of gaining knowledge, going upon a quest to perhaps questing to seek the Grail, even. I'll tell you about that in a little while, Polly, about Merlinite. I'll get to that at the end, so don't worry, but in case I don't, remind me. Anyway, so the act of questing for knowledge, for illumination, can be a magical act in itself. You have the need to discover how to obtain a true piece of Merlinite. Let's go with that one. Well, so where do you start? Well, you start with that idea that's come into your mind that you need to find a piece of Merlinite. How do you discover what is the real Merlinite and what is only purporting to be Merlinite? That's when you have to find the person that knows to give you that information, and then you take that information and seek the Merlinite that you need. And once you've sought out that Merlinite, your quest has ended. Well, that is a path of magical properties all the way along. So my first point there was finding somebody that knows about true Merlinite. Well, I can tell you, let's go with that now. Well, true Merlinite is either described as dendritic chalcedony or dendritic agate, because those two terms can be interchangeable. That's true Merlinite. Other forms are dendritic opal, which is not true Merlinite. And then you've got the mystic Merlinite, which is nothing to do with it whatsoever. So the first part of the quest for that Merlinite, Polly, is dendritic chalcedony or dendritic agate. And there you go. Then you have to go and find somebody that is selling that. That path is for you. I can't help you on that one. I don't know that many places in the States to go to. The only one that I know, and the only one that I am happy to go to, is Evolve in Glen Arbor. Whether they have any or not, I don't know. You'd have to get in touch with them. But on one note there, I'm sure everybody's seen Tracy and Sherry's posts about John. We lost him last week, and he's going to be missed by me and everybody that ever knew him. And we wish him peace, and we wish peace and love and blessings for Sherry as well. And I don't know what else to say about that, because he's a great loss to us all. He really is. So, yeah, Evolve in Glen Arbor. Talk to Sherry, and she'll help you out. So there you go. That's the one one place I would go to. So that's one area of magic that we can look at that is magical, because we have made a quest, and we have, once we get to it, we have completed that quest, and it is a magical feeling. And once you have obtained the item that you have quested for, then what? Well, that's up to you. That's the next pathway, I suppose, where you take it from there. But you're in another way, you're gathering elements for your next stage, your next quest. The link to that in the comments. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Rob. What link? Is it to evolve? Because yes, I can do that. And I'll do a, how do I get a link to evolve? I'm sure I can do it somehow. I'm not quite sure how. Computers are still quite mysterious to me. But anyway, I'll figure it out. And if I don't put it in the comments, I'll post it on the show page afterwards. So there you go. So there. Now what's next? So yes, questing is magical. There is, when we see movies and TV, we see they all, when it comes to magic and things, the wizards and sorcerers, witches, and so on, they always magically produce something out of thin air. It just appears, poof, in a puff of smoke and sparkliness. So the magically, we can do this. Every one of us can do this. Rob does this. I do it. Neshi does it. Margaret does it. We've all done it one way or another. And the example I'm going to bring up for you is this. Let me do a solo on that. This is a drum beater that I made for Julie Loutner Parish last year. Or was it the year before? Anyway, that's irrelevant. I made this. And I made it out of thin air. But the point is that it didn't happen all at once. First, I had to quest to find the information on how to make a drum beater. See, I'll begin at the story starts a little bit before this. I had the image of this drum beater. It came into my mind. I saw it. I saw the whole piece exactly as it is now. And I knew who it was for. I knew I had to make it. So, as I'd never made one before, I had to quest to find the information. Thank you, Neshi, because Neshi gave me the information on how to make it. After that, I had to gather the pieces together that form the drum beater. Then I had to put it together, mark it up, and so on and so forth. And then it was complete. It took a bit longer than that, but You get the gist. But the point is, that appeared as an image in my mind, and I created it. I brought it out from my mind, from the other world, from the spirit world, if you wish, into the physical realm. And that's magic. Rob does this when he plays his guitar, when he sings. Singing and music are another form of magic. We've all seen and experienced singers and drummers when everything around you stops and there is only this music. That's magic. So all creative acts, cooking is a magical act. It's even more magical when you do it in a respectful and honoring way to the ingredients, which sounds a little weird when I say it like that, but everything that has gone into a meal or whatever it is you're cooking has come from somewhere. It's come from the natural world. There are plant ingredients. Often, unless you're vegetarian, there are animal ingredients. So all those ingredients, if you respect and honor where they came from, the living beings that they were before you created this meal to sustain yourselves and your family and your friends, then that's even more magical. All these acts, painting, sculpture, art of any kind is a magical act. And it's just you bringing into the physical world something from, or an image from the other world, from the spirit world, from guidance from the divine, however you wish to perceive it. It doesn't matter. It's a magical act. It just doesn't happen in one go in a puff of smoke. And this is my point. Magic is more subtle and more gentle, and it works quietly, and we don't notice it like we used to. Our ancestors saw it all the time, and I would like us all to see it again in the way that it really is. Oh, we need to open our eyes more, open our third eye, and just see that magic around us. The leaves returning to the trees after the winter, that's magical. It's just amazing. So all these things, they're magic, but we don't notice it anymore. But we can, and that's my point. That's the point of the show. It's to say that we can notice it. We can be magical in the way that we always have wanted to be. That's how I see it, that we've always wanted to be magical beings, whether you call us wizards or sorcerers, wizards, I said wizards, witches, druids, whoever you are, you can be magical. So I'm going to bring this up from Rob, but then we could probably think of for ourselves, and that would destroy society. Or would it create a new society which is better than the one we've got? Just wondering. So yeah, and that's magic. Magic is and always has been and always will be. We just have to notice it. And that the other thing is about you can you say there is dark magic and light magic? I say magic in and of itself is neutral. It all depends what we do with it as to whether it is a dark or light. And that's is I suppose a little bit problematic to see it in those terms because of the fear generated by that dark magic. Ooh, I'm scared. Yes, it all comes down to perspective and what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve protection either for yourself or for somebody else, then that's good. If it's for healing, that's good. If it's for knowledge, that's good. All these things are good. It's dark magic in the way I see it is simply trying to bend everything to your own will, as just trying to make things how you want them to be, or your idea is the only idea. Does that make any sense? Please tell me if it does. Um, uh, yeah, exactly, Polly. That makes perfect sense. It really does. Think in sync with the divine within, then we would all be in sync as well. Yeah, exactly. So again, yeah, being in sync, but again, just expanding on that, being in sync with the natural world and the natural rhythms of life. That's more magical than trying to work against them. So yeah, that's so. Anyway, back to my point before I go off on a tangent somewhere where I wasn't intending to go. Yeah, so we're taught all the way along that magic is bad, and Hollywood teaches us magic is bad, people are evil, la la la, wizards and witches are all bad. No, 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 no. This is all wrong. This is all perpetuating a stereotype that never existed. Yeah, that's pretty much said much better than I managed to. Yeah, ego, and happening, make things happen the way we want. Yeah, that's the issue. So that was my point, I believe. So yeah, it's not the fact is that magic in and of itself isn't bad. It's not evil. It just is. And if we work with it instead of trying to make it work for us, then all is good. When we have that cooperation with the magical world, then all is good. So yeah, it's magic is everywhere. Magic is real. So are dragons and unicorns. Just saying. So, but how do we learn about it? How do we learn about how to be magical? I say that it's all about keeping your eyes open. It's all about listening and watching, learning from books, learning from people, learning how to let go of the need to make things happen and learn how to work with the world around us to just to be better. That makes no sense. This is a difficult one to verbalize. We're not trying to make it what we want, but help make things better for ourselves, for people, for the world itself, for our Earth. This is we're doing it in an altruistic fashion, without the oh without the need for reward, without getting anything out of it for ourselves just because we can. We're doing it for everybody. Good morning, Elise. Yes, it's a beautiful day over here in England as well. So, yeah, I haven't really described it very well. I know this, it's a difficult one. I kind of think you all understand what I'm saying, though. And I don't think you disagree with me. Intellectualizing it is difficult because it defies a lot of that learned intellectual space that we have in our heads. The scientific times that we live in, and yeah, I'm struggling with it today. I know I am. So anyway, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to let it be what it'll be, and it'll be fine. So, where am I up to? So we've talked about questing, and we've talked about making, and in a way, and that what I'm talking about right now is changing things for the better, creating, if I can use that word, a world that we want to live in, which is slightly different to the one we've created for ourselves now. So creating, changing things is also magical, but you got to be careful. And as we were just saying, not coming from an ego point, a point of our own ego where we think we know what is best for everything at all times. When we work with everything around us and we work in a natural way and let things flow in a natural point for everybody, then I think that is how we need to work with that. Am I making any sense today? Really? Please, somebody tell me if I'm making no sense, because I'm not really sure I am. But anyway, there's some interesting conversation. I'm sure you can all see it in the comments along the way with between some of you there, and this is good because being in conversation is also very magical because it helps us come to a point of understanding between ourselves. Um, I'm I'm making more sense than anyone I've talked to this morning at work. Well, thank you, Rob. I take that as a great compliment. Um, anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, conversation. Conversation is magical because it helps us understand each other. And when we start understanding each other, oh, life just gets so much more wonderful, doesn't it? It really does. So there you go. So, oh yes, that's another thing. Um, when we talk about magic and knowledge, this just popped into my head. I know I cover finding, divination is another form of magic. Um, Thank you, Nashi. Doing grand as this topic is nebulous at best. And that is a good word. I'm going to write that down. Um, yeah, magic defies description. It really does. You know it when you see it. That's why it's magic. So, I mean, I just love magic. I love it. And okay, here's a story. I shall relate to you a story which happened not very long ago to me, and this describes magic in a way that my own words cannot. So I was at the Druid retreat this year. I'm sure I mentioned it already last month. So I was at the Druid retreat, and one of the discussions that we had throughout the time we were there concerned Ellen of the Ways. That's I will post this on the show page. Um, yeah, I just got to bring this up from Rob. Yeah, language is being precise, but it's a primary computer. This works. Well, yeah, but you know, as long as we try, as long as we try. So anyway, back to my story. Ellen of the Ways. She, let's just, for the sake of ease, she is goddess of the roads and the trackways. It is more complicated than that, but for the sake of the story, we will just leave it there. So anyway, Ellen of the Ways. She was one of the primary elements that we were talking about, and she's related to the deer spirit, however you want to perceive it, is fine. So this, and we had discussions about her. She protects us along the journeys that we take, etc., etc. And bringing this back from the retreat. I added her into my daily ritual at work, which is quite simple. It's brief, but if you know me, you know I'm a truck driver by trade. If you can describe truck driving as a trade, but anyway, that's a different matter. And when I get in my truck, I ask for a blessing from the divine, and I ask that I be guided along the way. So, after coming back from the retreat, I added Ellen into my ritual. And on the way home that night, it was quite late. Some of my days can be quite long. This was, what would it have been, 8:30ish that evening. The light was, we were getting into that half light, and I was nearly home. And I turned down one of the roads that I go down to. It's quite rural in this area, so there's lots of fields and little back roads. And I just turned down my road and had just gone down there maybe a mile, and I started to slow the car down because up ahead I could see a shape in the distance. And I got closer and I got closer, and there was a deer standing right in the middle of the road. And I slowed down and I stopped. I didn't get too close, but I stopped and I looked at the deer. I was just watching the deer, and it was just standing there. And the deer, she looked at me just for a second and then walked calmly off the road into the field to my right. And so I just drove on, and between me getting from where I'd stopped to where the deer had crossed into the field was a few seconds at most. And as you look to see if you can see the deer in the field, and this deer had just gone, vanished, couldn't see it anywhere. And that was just an incredibly magical moment. It was, there are no words I can describe how special it was for me, but it really, really was. And it's one of those moments I will always remember. And that's when those very special moments when magic comes to you and just to let you know that it's still around, especially when you're looking out for it. When you're opening yourself up to its possibilities and its presence, it just lets you know that it is there. So it was a very, very special moment. And so that was one, but there is another moment, and I suppose I'm rapidly running out of time now as I'm rambling on. But I'll bring in one more event that happened to me. Now, this was a few years ago when we had a partial solar eclipse over. I'm pretty sure it. Now, I can't remember how long ago this was. Was it 3 years ago? Was it 4? Well, whenever it was, we had a partial solar eclipse over here in the UK. I can't remember if it was the time you got a total solar eclipse in the States, but anyway, the important part is the solar eclipse. Again, I'm at work, Now, this was a few years ago when I was still full-time at work. Was I still full-time? Again, that's irrelevant. Partial solar eclipse. So I wanted to mark this. Now, it was a work day. What is the latitude of England? Uh, Yours was last year. So no, it wasn't last year. It was at least 3 years ago now. At least 3 years. Might have been 4, but that's by the by. The important part is the eclipse itself. And I wanted to mark it. Now I'm at work, so I can't do any big ceremony, but I wanted to mark it and just take a moment to connect with the goddess, because, especially considering the moon's crossing the sun. So it's a time of great, powerful feminine energy. So I stopped the truck, did a little prayer to the goddess, and within that, I kind of felt I was at a point where I just needed a little bit of affirmation, a little bit of confirmation, if you wish, that the path I was treading and the way I was walking it was right. That I was doing the best that I could. I just needed that, just a little say, yeah, you're okay, that kind of thing. Yeah, 3 years ago. Thank you, Rob. So I did my little prayer, my little thank you to the divine, and got back in the truck. Just set off again, turned left down the next road I was needed to be going down, and a hare ran across the road. And that was another incredibly magical moment, because the hare is connected with the goddess so deeply. And it was as if you just knew. Well, I just knew it for myself, without any need for words, that my prayer had been heard, and the hare had been sent as a messenger to say, just, you're doing okay, everything's fine, relax, don't worry, just keep going. So these two stories are just simply to say magic is out there, and just open yourself up to it and just watch for it, because it will reveal itself to you in one way or another. So those are my two stories. Now, what time is it? It's nearly 2:55. Whatever time it is. So I mentioned Merlinite, which I'll post later as well. What else did I have notes on? Well, it doesn't really matter, really. If you're thinking about stones and working with magic, bloodstone, golden beryl. If you want magical protection, then I would recommend bronzite and tourmaline. So there you go. Just a few options. I'll try and post some other bits later on. But I'm going to just bring up a couple of books, or at least one. Like this one. This is Druidcraft, which talks a lot. It's not a very thick book. It doesn't take too long to read it. This is written by Philip Carr Gomm, who's chosen chief of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, who I am a member of. I'm a member of this order, and it's really interesting. So if you, it's a really interesting way of looking at certain things, and it covers everything um, and more, way more than I've been able to now. Um, it's a really good book. So if that's one if you're interested in looking at it a bit more. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I don't know. Oh! I know what I've done. Never mind. It's fine. I pressed the buttons wrong again, which is one of my favourite tricks. Um, what else is there? Um, divination. I wanted to cover that, but we've only got about 5 minutes left. So, divination is again magical, and you can relate that to the you know questing for knowledge and information, because divination, in my view, uh, is a guideline. You can ask for the information, whether it be cards, whether it be stones, whether it be runes or anything, whatever, the dice. Um, then whatever form your divination techniques take, it doesn't really matter. What works for you works for you. But those cards or stones or dice can only give you a general idea of what may or may not happen if you continue down this particular chosen path. As soon as you make a decision to do something differently, that path changes. So then you can the next time you make your casting, or cast the runes or read the cards, then there'll be a shift. So divination isn't what's the word I'm looking for? It's not set in stone. It's a guidance and a guideline that you can change where you will be going somewhere down the line. So, but it's a good thing anyway. It just helps to give you an idea of where your decisions are taking you at the time. So I have, let me just bring this up. Where's it gone? Oh, no. Okay, I can't find them now. So never mind. I was going to bring you up another picture, but I can't find it, so never mind. Again, connecting with the druidic side of things, I've got the Druid Animal Oracle, which is like a message card system, and then there's the Druidcraft Tarot, which is that's an interesting way of putting it, Polly. It is a vision of where you are headed, yes, but you can change that if you choose the right options in front of you, as I see it. But anyway, so yeah, the Druidcraft Tarot, which is based in tarot, but also based in Celtic mythology as well. So they're two really good ones. I'll post them as well. I think I brought them up a while back, but I can't remember when. But it doesn't hurt to do it again. So I am rapidly running out of time. So I will say ciao for now. I hope you all have a glorious and wonderful day and a glorious and wonderful time until I see you next. Next month, I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. That's what I was going to say. Does anybody out there have any subject that you would like me to talk about? I'm throwing it open. I'm throwing it open and I'll pick the best one. There you go. There's a challenge. So there you go. So it's now 3 o'clock. It is time for me to depart. So enjoy the rest of your day and we will see you next time. Until then, be awesome.